Hey everybody, Scout Crafty here again. It's Wednesday. Actually, it's Sunday. You know, I have to film this one a little bit early, and I'm telling you, I am in the middle of Hurricane Henry. I think they left the H off instead of Henry. I think it's Henry. And boy, they really got this one spot on. They were 100% wrong. It's not often you could be 100% wrong, but these, they really were. They were forecasting this tremendous thing to hit this and 70-mile-an-hour winds. It was just... Anyway, so we had a soggy couple days, nothing to talk about, but a few things I wanted to get to here. We want to do another one of Ben's projects from the Tool Addict. Looking forward to that. And some other things I'm going to throw in, so let's get right to it.
Okay, now you remember on Monday's video, we did this amazing hack knife, you know, and you could see here, the name, I didn't mention much about the name because I tried doing research, okay? It's called Carve-N-Saw. You see that? Carve-N-Saw. I tried doing research on this, and I'm telling you, there is nothing out there. I can't find another example. This is, you know, as far as I'm concerned, almost one of a kind. Unless maybe that's just me, maybe overseas. So let me know, have you ever seen this type of model before? Do you know? The Carve-N-Saw, I know they make kitchen, they made cutlery, things like that. It was a company that did that, but I don't know anything about any other thing about it. I tried looking it up, so this is where you might come in handy, because over here on the United States, we don't have too much of this on the internet at all, and I haven't, like I said, seen another example, but love this knife.
Okay, next up, I got a little bit of a story to say. I was walking last week, and in the garbage, I found this miter box. Now, it's a vintage miter box that uses a handsaw, and ever since the motorized miter boxes came out, what, 20 years ago, 30 years ago now, the hand miter box saws have become absolutely obsolete, and there's very few people that do still use them. However, this was, I think it was patent 1907. It was beautifully made, cast iron, and it killed me to just walk by it. But with a little cleaning up, it would have been perfect. I know my buddy Dave, old Sneelock, he still uses them once in a while. I can't be bothered. I got that, you know, a couple Delta miter saws, and I love them. I would never go back to the hand ones. But, you know, let me know what you would have done. Would you have taken that home? I can't do it. I got no room here. But what would you have done? You know, would you have put it somewhere when you saw something like that in the garbage? So, but I just let it go. Next up, got something really interesting that I think you might like, because I know I find it interesting. Let's go take a look.
Next up, many times when you're buying something on eBay, it pays to look into lots, because you kind of do better when you buy lots, you know. And for example, I was looking for this bottom knife here for a while, and I came up in a lot, and it was the same price as this would have been normally, so I got these two for free. This is just a USA carving knife here, but this one here, it's an interesting little serrated knife from Sheffield, England. Can you see that? Sheffield. And there we go, Sheffield, England. And it is a nice knife. These work very well. But this is the one that we're going to talk about today, because I think this is something you might find interesting, like I did. This is a 1950s Carve-N-Saw. I'm trying to cut the R out. Carve-N-Saw, okay? And what this was a giveaway. And you took a Lipton box and $1.25. You sent in the lid or whatever, and they sent you this knife. Now, it must have been popular because there's a ton of them out there. However, I don't think they were used much because you never see them worn out. You know, they're always like in great condition. So, but look at the pretense of what this knife did. You had and it's very sharp, you know, a nice cutting knife here, coupled with a saw on the top, okay? And you could use it this way, you could use it this way. Now, I don't know if you would ever, I don't think many of these we use. The idea looks interesting, right? But, and it's unusual, which I like, but I can't see the use. I mean, I can understand a saw sometimes for, you know, people say, well, if you got to cut through bone, but who really cuts through bone when you're serving? Because you're going to have all them bone fragments and everything in there, and I don't know. You know, frozen food, they show that you can cut through, and, you know, who cuts through frozen food? I mean, who says, let's use half a box of spinach today? I don't know. That's why I was bringing it up. I want to know what you think. Do you think it was useful? Do you think it's a total gimmick? One thing I want to point out is even at this with a $1.25 giveaway knife, more or less, promotional item, look at the beautiful wood that they use. Now, I don't know what that is, if it's a mahogany or a teak, but look at the grain. This is not a junk piece of wood here that they use, so pretty interesting. Carve-N-Saw. Thought you might find it interesting. Okay, for today's project, I wanted to tackle this. I love this thing. This is from Ben, you know, Ben the Tool Addict. He sent this over last week with the other, and I wanted to clean this up, get it to work, because like I said, you really have to use some tremendous force. I'm giving this a lot, pushing, you know, against each other to open it up and to close it, and I think that's because it's, you know, these things are made super heavy duty, made to cut like barbed wire, things like that. You see this an opening so that, you know, under low light conditions, you could get, it'll feed in and then it'll close onto the wire, but it's so hard to use right now, so I want to clean it up. I believe that you could see here what it says, W8, and then it says 659, that might be the year. These look to be about 1960 vintage, right? So super heavy duty. Look at that. That's almost 1/4 inch plate, you know, that they're using for this, and just beautifully made, you know, with the compound. So let's take it up. Let's see if we, obviously we can't take it apart. Let's clean it up, lubricate it, clean the handles. The handles are beautiful, but they just need to be cleaned up, you see. So yeah, let's get this back in service. I love it. Okay, here we are after our post wire brush evaluation. We have this wrapped up with tape and a tin aluminum can under there, so not to mess with the grips. But we went through it with the wire brush. We got all the rust off, and you can see here it does have some lettering here. And if you look at the closely, it says WT. And then there's the broad arrow. That's the British broad arrow that says that this is property of Her Majesty's government or whatever. And 1945, that's when these were made. Okay, now it might have went into stock. Maybe maybe it was entered into the stock room at this date or whatever. But this is a 1945 production wire cutter, which would look more like it. You know, they were kind of bulky back then, and so now what we're going to do, it loosened up a little bit, but it's still tight. You know, we went through it with the wire brush and then the Dremel, got all the dirt out of here. Now we're going to hit it with the 50/50, which is half acetone, half automatic transmission fluid, and we'll leave the tape and everything on because we don't want that getting under the grips. We'll spray it upside down. You don't want the 50/50 loosening up the grips, so we'll see what we can do here. Now, I've refurbished more than one set of British wire cutters from World War II, World War I, things like that. And after doing a little bit of research, I found that these cutters, although not so popular that we're doing today, they were in service in World War II from 1941 to 45, so throughout the entire war. One thing that's important to remember when you're trying to lubricate, every one of these pivot joints behind here, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. On both sides, you have to flood it with the 50/50. Now, we're using a rag here just to hold the handles, but you have to work it in a full range of motion from all the way open to all the way closed, and you keep working it back and forth, adding a little more 50/50 until eventually this will loosen up. Remember, these were supposed to be somewhat tight. They're not supposed to be loose like pliers, but just keep working it and it will come. And we're calling this project done. Now, like I said, we just want to clean up, get it working, and it is working. Now you can see I can open and close it with one hand, which is really, you know, what you want to do. It's never going to be smooth like pliers because there's so many joints. You know, we got 5 joints there that have to rotate, and these are put in a press where they're riveted, and it's heavy steel. Let me show you how it works. Like I said, these were meant to cut barbed wire or other kinds of wire that you might come into. And we already determined that this old hanger wire is about the same tensile strength as barbed wire. So we're going to slip it in here like this. I'm going to show you something interesting. Now we're going to close it, okay? Now you can see it cut it off, but I want to show you something interesting. You won't get that snap that you're used to with a Klein, that, you know, these pieces go shooting across the room. And that's because, check this out, when it's closed, that's fully closed. Okay, you can't close it any more than that. It's fully closed. There's a gap there, and they do that for a reason, so that these teeth, these jaws, never touch each other and dull each other out. So that small gap, which is only a couple of millimeters, will allow you to, you know, just all you have to do is give it a slight twist, and it will pop off, you know. But it will never, you'll never have to come touching the jaws to cut most material. The only time you have to touch the jaws is to cut copper stranded wire, because that, if you don't have the jaws touching, that will never get through that.
Okay, so in closing, I just wanted to share a good friend of mine, Jim, from the UK, had somehow flown across the pond to the United States, came here, snuck into my basement, and made a video, and then went home and he restored one of my tools. So I thought it was very interesting. It's a short video. Jim's a great guy. You know him as hand tool restoration. Check it out. I got a link. Okay, there's going to be a link right in the description. Go check it out and watch Jim as he snuck into my basement. Didn't even know he was here. Thought I heard something. He's sneaky. All right, hope you enjoy that. And check out Jim's video. Again, Ben, thanks so much for the tool we did today. Have a nice day. Take care now. Bye-bye.
Guy sleeping on the bus. Sir? Sir?